Hi there, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Beneath the Lift Tower. My name's Charles McGilvray, and as always, I'm joined by Simon Stacey and Jess Kevill. We're a fans podcast by fans for fans of Northampton Saints. How you both doing? You recovered yet? No?
Good,
Yeah.
thank you.
I
I'll
wasn't
just
great till after these last 2 weekends. I've aged about 20 years.
I'll just point out if we don't hear from the podcast after next week, and the game was like that one, it's because I've had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Like bloody hell, they put us through it, didn't they?
Yep.
I mean, objectively, I can say that's probably going to go down as one of the games of the season. Subjectively, I never want it to happen again. Ever.
That's 2 weeks in a row, though. That's the problem.
I know.
Well, that's the problem. I literally texted and I said, I hope they don't do what they did last week. And I was like, oh my God, they're doing it again. They're doing it again. But yeah, they managed to scrape it at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's less like I can put my finger on it less this week as to what went wrong, other than the discipline, which led to the 3 yellow cards in the second half, which obviously put us under a lot. And then the injuries at tight head, so we were basically playing with numbers down. There was some dodgy kicking, don't get me wrong, but otherwise it's really hard to see where the errors were, what was wrong. They just switched off, and that first Will Joseph response, they just didn't. They all going through the motions,
Yeah.
I don't know if because they scored so quickly they just got into their heads about the week before. Because sometimes you can know that you're not supposed to do the same thing as the week before, but when they score within a minute, I think it was actually less than a minute, and they're probably just immediately going, oh no, and then the pressure ramped up. I think a lot of it they put on themselves, and then all of the yellow cards. But I got to say though, that last 10 minutes, the way they managed the game in the last 10 minutes was so incredibly impressive, considering what had happened in the previous 30. What a mess! What a mess!
Well, you could say impressive, or you just say that Gloucester were absolutely awful when they had the extra men, to be fair.
They had, for a large portion of that second half, they had 2 extra men, because we had one yellow. At one point, we had 2 yellow cards, but then we had 1 yellow card. I think we got at least 1 yellow card where we'd had the tight heads already go off. So they had a good 15-20 minutes where it was 13 on 15. And Gloucester made such hard work. At one point, they actually lost a whole 10-minute yellow card period on our line, tapping and going, and not getting over the line. And they wasted that entire period. All they had to do was throw it to one person out wide, and they had a pretty big advantage, pretty big gap. It was pretty simple. And they made such hard work of just getting over the line. I think Skivington in his interview after was we left 3 tries out there easy.
Yeah, well, I mean, easy. I mean, I don't think playing with 14 is the big, that big. I think we could have got through with that. I think 13 is nigh on impossible, especially when you look at the Celts or the Herd, whatever the players Chris Boyd used to say that's actually not on the pitch. When you lose Tom Pearson and when you lose Lockett, you're losing a lot of power through that middle, and therefore it's sort of there. You really need those players to sort of counter Gloucester's physicality, etc. So they go away and things get a lot harder, especially when, in my view, there was a complete shift when JJ went off at scrum time. The scrum went from chalk to cheese. As soon as he went off, we struggled a lot more. It seemed the props were going really well, and then suddenly JJ leaves, and it's like, oh God, going backwards a bit. I think that was a clear example of what he brings to scrum time. But yeah, I think that was it. Losing that physicality of those 2 players for that period of time was rough. But
yeah, I feel the same as well about when I felt the same last week as well when Manny went off. We were significantly weaker in the scrum. I think it pretty clearly cements that he's the first choice. The first choice number 1 for me. I think it made me realise really kind of how sort of needed he was, because it just wasn't quite the same impact. Then you lose JJ, who, to be fair, we never expected he was going to do realistically any more than he did. They were talking though, to be fair, he's getting himself sort of fitter. He's already lost, I think, as they say, 5 kgs of it since being here. So they've got him they know what they want from him in terms of that. But yeah, it's just, we've got to stop doing the chalk and cheese things. It's like, there's no reason to, it was like the same versus like Exeter, like the scoreline would have been monstrous if we managed to put, 80 minutes together. I mean, Rory Hutchison, even in the second half, was like possessed by something.
Yeah, I mean, we should probably rename this episode the sort of Rory Hutchinson Appreciation Society, because
Yeah.
I mean, I have a lot to say about how good he was, especially after last week when I slagged him off is not the right word, right? Because he's one of my favorite players, but I described him as arguably the best 23 in the world, right? That were the words I said, right? But I mean, on the basis of his performance against Gloucester, I mean, it's Dingwall who, Freeman who, like because he was shut. I mean, and that I'm joking when I'm saying that, because they're both two of our best players. But like, Hutch was so good, you can't not play him.
No. You saw his stats at the end of the game, and I watched it with my mum, and she turned to me. She's like, any forward would be proud of those stats, like the amount of tackles he was putting in and the amount of turnovers he got. He's like the kind of stats you would expect to see from like a 6, 7, and 8, not Rory in the backs. But it was mental. I mean, there was definitely one penalty that he shouldn't have got because he had his hands on the floor, but most of all the rest of his turnovers were incredible. And that tackle, that's going to make highlight reels of like best tackles in the game for years. It was incredible, because that was a definite try until he just appeared out of nowhere.
It's mental, isn't it? The problem is for the rest of the league, and hopefully for us, is that was technically our B team. When you look at all the players that are out injured or not eligible, that was absolutely insane. And then that team put that in that performance in. I know they nearly let it go again, but yeah, it can only be a good thing. And like you said, Charles, that we might not be here next week if they do that against them up the road, because I don't think we can do it 3 weeks in a row. This is just momentum. Hopefully now we put more and more. We play 60 to 70 against them.
Yeah, I mean, you say like beat him, and the thing is, people sort of often over edge that sort of comment when they're missing a few good players, right? But you generally look at that team and think, if we could pick our strongest 15, how many of those would pick? And you go, well, Iogan definitely, Coles definitely, JJ definitely, Chick definitely.
Yeah.
That's it.
That wasn't me being that wasn't me being disrespectful.
Yeah.
I just meant when you looked at the team that you could put out with the players that weren't available, they'd be starting in most Premiership teams. It's insane.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wasn't discarding what the guys have done. They've done amazing and they're worthy of their place. But I just meant when you've got all that talent to come back in and challenge, it's not a bad way to be in, really, if we can scrape away wins and get 5 points like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that team that played on Sunday, and obviously there are other players who are going to be challenging for first team spots. Hutchinson, obviously, Hendy, Litchfield's really putting his hand up, Pearson, etc. Right, but the reality is, I think that team that played on Sunday is going to need to probably be arguably the mainstay of the team for the whole season. And then it's a case of the other 19 players that weren't playing, probably 14, 15 of them are arguably first team picks as well, are all going to be dropped in at different periods through the season. You're not, Mitchell's not going to play an awful lot probably because he's played so much rugby and he's going to play for England. So, he'll come in for a bit too. McParland, like I said, will probably play a lot of rugby this year. Finn, he'll probably play a few more games, but you got argue that you wouldn't start him against Tigers, with a form of Anthony Bellew, wow.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, ice in his veins, that kick, wow.
That was ridiculous. Yeah. Absolutely ridiculous.
He's definitely a goal kicker, isn't he?
Yeah.
It was it was the blasé way he just kicked it and then just like, yeah, I've got that. See ya. And just walked away. He didn't even watch it.
We probably won the game now. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. The game was almost a carbon copy of the week before, right? But we took the 3 rather than going to the corner. Like almost the game was, and we had that last 10 minutes where we sort of got back into the game. And against Chiefs, it sort of died with the concussion to Graham and that decision to go for the corner rather than the pen. but in that game, virtually the same thing happened, but we took the points and won the game. It's crazy the similarities between the two fixtures. And one similarity again as well was like, how good is George Endy?
Yeah,
that kid is a flame.
I love them. I love all of them after doing that, to be fair, at the weekend. Fair play. It was just, yeah. And like I said, like, I also, because like we talk about, and you're right, McParland will play a lot of rugby. Genuinely mad props to Wyman for coming on and managing the game he did for those last 5 minutes. I thought there was like a masterclass in how to run out a game when you have to kind of balance. You have to balance the whole thing of we can't just pass, bash for 5 minutes and expect we're definitely going to keep hold of it. I just think he made all of the right decisions about when to kind of try and release the players to have a little go. And then when he decided, okay, we've done that, let's go back to trying to protect it. And it was just, we kept hold of it for that last 2 minutes. And I honestly didn't feel at any point, bar maybe once at the end, where Gloucester really, really shoved. I never really felt like we were going to lose control of it. And so I think he actually, because he's got a very young head on his shoulders and obviously hasn't played a lot, like for the first team at this point, like that was really, really good how he managed that at the end.
Yeah, I agree. I think obviously McParland's developing as well, and that control element will come as the more and more he plays, and he'll learn how to close out games, etc. But we said last week that Johnny Wyman seems to have at this point in time at least a slightly stronger kicking game. And what would have happened the week before against Chiefs if Wyman had come into the game when we were still winning, and then like you say, he came on at the end of that fixture and really looked secure, put some lovely little kicks. One was a foot away from being perfection, wasn't it, where he kicked it out on the full?
Yeah.
But it was the right decision, really, almost perfectly executed. So it just makes you think if he had come on around the 65-minute against Exeter, whether that different skill set that he brings might have influenced the game differently as well. But,
I did think that was a bit of an error the week before, sorry, at Exeter, not bringing him on, because we were going backwards, and it's not going to do any. It's only going to do some good, isn't it? And we have to remember. Did I read that Gloucester have got? Is it a 51-week match or week record? They haven't been beaten there for. Is it nearly a year?
Yeah. They have a really strong home record.
To do that with a so-called B team, and make them look very poor in the first half, is quite an achievement, really.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because they've got this great home record, but when you look at them, like they've got some really good, exciting young players that, if they gel, could be an interesting, especially in the backs. And they've got a few, forwards that are interesting, etc. But you don't sort of think they've got that longer that longer home win record sort of thing. They don't seem that strong side. I think we've played two of the bottom three already this year. I think you add the Red Bulls into those two, and they're probably going to be the bottom three based on. I think Mark is almost becoming an early. And it's very early in the season. You can't read into it too much, but there seems to be two leagues in terms of there are some very good sides, and there's some sides that just aren't quite there yet. And I had Quins almost the top of those three. I think they're not quite at the races yet, or maybe they don't get there this year. But I got a good home record and everything, but I don't think they're that good a side, and nor do I think Chiefs are good a side. So we probably had a good start from that basis.
I was talking about this again with my mum at the weekend. I was saying that normally with each team, bar I suppose probably Newcastle, and obviously it's a very different looking team now anyway, but I could say that usually out of most of the teams I could think of maybe 2, maybe 3 people where I'm like, if you could bring them to Saints, you would, because of how talented they are. And I remember sort of thinking about Gloucester, and I was like, outside of maybe for Sogbon, I'm not sure I can really think of anybody that I'd be like desperate to pinch from their team. I mean, they've got some good talent, and I think they're a decent side, they're a decent outfit. Like, to have that home record is still that is still a really good thing. But yeah, that first half, I mean, they would. I think I would even go so far as to say that it was maybe a worse first half performance from Gloucester than it was from Exeter the week before. That it was not good. And then you consider
they were poor.
Yeah, and then you consider everything they had they had pretty much everything in their favour, and we only have ourselves to blame, right? I actually think it was a really good ref performance. I think all of our yellow cards absolutely should have been, we'd had the warning, it was pretty clear. We did keep going offside. I know it's a pressure thing, and like you said, sometimes it's a matter of an inch, but you've gone offside or whatever. They pretty much had everything in their favour. At one point 15 versus 14, 15 versus 13, and they just couldn't. Just every time you watch them score a try, you're it should be 10 times easier than this. For so many other teams in the league, it would be 10 times easier than they made it. I just found it bizarre. I found some of their tactical decisions and decisions of what to kind of do and try are really, really bizarre.
And especially when you think they've got a Lion at 9 and an international Irish player at 10, who's Ross Byrne's won a lot with Leinster. Yeah, admittedly that it's with Leinster, so you've got to caveat it a bit, but he's a good player. So they've got that experience in the halves, and their decision making was so poor. Whether
I did not understand it.
Their coaching, old Dominic Waldock, who used to play for Saints, he's their head of strategy and defence, etc. Well, you've got to think their strategy was way off, haven't you? What they were trying.
I mean, I said that about the tap and going. I reckon they tried that 5 times before they and I was like, what are you doing? Do something different, because that was kind of where we were still strong at that point, right? We were still strong sort of in the middle of the field. We still had a decent pack going at that point, and so they were able to sort of hold them out for a while. All you have to do is chuck it out wide. There's nobody there because we have 2 people gone to the bin or whatever. I was like, it's a no-brainer for every other team. It's a no-brainer. It should be, but then I also feel you shouldn't need to coach that. I can sit here and say I know that. But
yeah, you put a bit of basic shape on your attack. You hold the line, hold the defenders. Yeah. There's going to be space. It's
and you throw it to your winger, who's probably waving his hands about like a lunatic because he's got acres of clear space in front of them. It was just yeah. But I also don't want to take away from what we did, particularly in that the first half, which was incredible, and that last 10 minutes where it seemed to click in our heads of no, we need to change what we're doing. We need to win this game. At least we can say that. But the stats are still worrying. I think they showed second half points, and we scored 6 second half points this season, and our opponents have scored 54. So there's a clear thing they need to work on.
It's like the almost like mental fatigue gets them, because those offsides, they were all offsides factually, and you can't. That's just, he's warned us. You've been offside so many times. He keeps going to his pocket. You can't really argue with the decision making, and if you don't have those yellow cards, it's a completely different probably a different case completely. And so they've just got to be sharper in terms of mental aspects of the game. I know Dowson said after the game about every team out there is in the gym training, every team out there is running around in the field practicing. It's not a physical or a skills necessarily game. It's a mental game, and we need to find a way of sharpening our mental capacity in that second half, because it just that sort of desire and strength doesn't seem to be there within that group at the moment. I think you add a few more players into it, you might find a bit different. But there's players like Hutchinson clearly stepped up, clearly made those big efforts. That tackle on Loader could have been game changer, because if they score that, it's probably they're going to win. And he made the effort and to get there, put in a big shot, put his body on the line, and that probably had a big oomph to the rest of the team to sort of get their act together.
He also set up more than one trick, as per Rory, offloads that are just a dream, to watch. I would even go so far as to say that that's probably one of the best all-round individual performances I've seen for a long time, of just one person. On fire in every single aspect of their game, and he was so chill about it. If it was me, I'd just be I'd be celebrating everything, but he was just relaxed. He just got a turnover, a few slaps on the back from his mates, carried on. He was so focused, because I think I remember saying at some points last season, I think it was just after he came back from going off with Scotland and it hadn't gone the way he wanted. He'd been selected for one game against, I want to say Portugal, but could be wrong, and then wasn't selected and was released. And I think it got in his head a bit, and I don't think he was focused. I think he was totally off, which is kind of understandable, right? None of us have really been in a position of, that kind of situation of being released from playing from your country and how it can get in your head sometimes. But it was like the complete antithesis to that performance. He was just, yeah, so unbelievably focused, knew what he wanted to do, what he wanted to achieve, and pretty much all the time achieved exactly what it was he wanted to do.
Yeah, I think with Hutchinson, what separates him from so many other players on the pitch is his decision making and ability to read the game line at the line, so close to the line.
Yeah.
And there's two really good examples in the attacking plays where we scored off of where he makes different decisions based on what the defence is doing. So the try where he sets up Archie McParland, he's got the ball, he comes flat to the line, he sees that Ross Burns overcommitted, he glides past him, fills the gap, inside ball to McParland, an easy try. The other view is it's almost identical play, but the 13, so the inside defence is solid. No, there's no room there. He takes it to the line. The 13 reads Anthony Bailey on the behind the line run, right, and steps out. So Hutchinson sees that tiny little tip on to Litchfield, who bursts through and scores a try, right? In that scenario, in almost every scenario where Hutchinson takes the ball to the line, he's got those three options. Does he step the 10 on the inside? Does he shift the ball to the tip on? Does he take the contact, or does he put the ball out the back to the fly half who's on the wraparound, right? And his ability to make the right decision at the time based on what the opposition are doing, it's just unreal. It's so good. And I think people don't realise how good that is. Like, I think they just see him make the break and go, "Oh, that was good." I don't think they contemplate that he had four other options and he's got to pick the best one, you know. And
yeah,
it's there's lots of things where you can point at other things of other players and all this sort of stuff, but he is unreal at that. It's a super skill.
It's also one of the reasons outside of just getting the 5 points why I'm glad that we won, because typically they tend to give it to like the winning side, and it just would have been a travesty if he wouldn't have been awarded it. I'm like, we needed to win just for that, because it was so clearly him. Like, he was so clearly heads and shoulders above everyone else, and that's saying a lot considering how good that first half performance was all round. Like, it was just head and shoulders like out of the stratosphere. It was like how good that performance was. It was absolutely ridiculous.
Another player who sort of shined the first 2 weeks as well as Tom Pearson. We said at the beginning of the year that he needs to have a good year, but he's looking good, isn't he?
He is indeed.
He is.
The big man is back, and he needs to be, doesn't he? Now the chosen one is now a Lion, but so he does need to fit. But we always knew he was a great player. It was a great signing when we originally got him, and to keep hold of him, we just got to hope and fingers crossed that he stays injury free, because he's an absolute beast when he's carrying the ball, isn't he? He breaks so many tackles and he carries so many meters.
Yeah.
And yet again, he got a try. Well called, Jess.
First one.
I told you I jinxed players. Todaro didn't get sniffed, did he?
Todaro was good though. Todaro was.
He was really strong. Yeah.
He's snapping ankles with those side steps he's doing. That one when he ran from Ross Byrne, bloody hell.
That was crazy. Absolutely crazy. No, he's so talented, and it's going to be. It's almost like, I don't know. It's weird, kind of how to feel about it, because you sort of feel like, with everyone coming back in, where does he sort of fit in? But I really want to just keep watching him. So.
Yeah. The back three talent's unreal, isn't it? And I want to add to that, Martin. He didn't have the sort of highlight reel moments that say Todaro did or Hendy did, right? But you bearing in mind that that's his debut at Premiership level, stepping up from the Championship, and he didn't put a foot wrong. It'd be nice to see him in a bit of open space and given opportunities to attack, etc. But defensively, very solid. And he showed his pace a couple of times defensively as well. So, like, what a find I think he might be, because, he did not put a foot wrong through a really tough game. So, yeah, they find the talent, don't they?
Definitely.
They do indeed.
Yeah.
I reckon, like I said, the first podcast, I think this squad with the signings we've got is a hell of a lot better and stronger. I know we've got loads of injuries at the minute. That's just sad, but yeah, if we can pull a win like that off at one of the places that I know they're not the best, but unbeaten in nearly a year, I think the future's bright. There's still a load of youngsters coming through. Look at Tal Doldo. He literally was like a talent. Now he just looks like he's put so much power into his game. So he's a centre, isn't he, by trade? I thought
I
he was
think
a centre.
he played 12 for Italy in the under-20s, and
Yeah,
he's played 15 as well.
but he's
So
an
it's
absolute beast on the wing. He's like, he's just smashing people, and he's got such quick feet. So yeah, like you said,
and then the commentators reminded everyone he was only 19. And I was like, oof. I just realised how far up that trajectory still has to go.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
yeah,
we keep doing it with the academy. We keep spinning out these amazing young lads. The problem is keeping hold of all of them because they all end turning into internationals. They all go on bigger money, and we can't afford to keep all of them.
Well, we can keep hold of one of them, which not they came from the academy, but it obviously got announced after we talked about it last week. New contract, and I understand it's a bloody big one.
It's supposed to be really big. Yep.
Yeah.
Which honestly, fair. Like, fair enough.
From what I understand, I think if you add his England money and his sponsorship money into the mix, I think he's on well over £1 million a year now. So he, you want to, don't buy him a beer, make sure he gets you one.
Yes.
Yeah. Talked you up to
but yeah, he's more than deserves it.
Yeah. Oh God, thank God, because I know there was interest from quite a lot of places, and I should imagine he was seriously considering what to do. But, thank goodness for that, because
he's
that would have been like a no, definitely no.
As he said, we've started and I've not finished. So, and to be fair, I respect his loyalty because he could have jumped at the money, and we give him his chance when Worcester went. We used the correct term. Belly up. That's the word, not the word I was going to use. So yeah, fair play to the lad, and it's not going to come cheap, is he? He's England's starting 10 and a Lion now, and he's still nowhere near his prime. So
we actually signed him before Worcester went bust.
We were interested in him just before.
We got him, and then they went bust, and we brought him in early before for the season after. But they'd identified him as a next best thing, and I think that even went back from when Vesti was coaching there.
Yeah, and someone said something about I think when we had Dan Bigger, he played against him when we played Worcester or something, and he had put in a good word about what he thought about his talent, and he was bang on, wasn't he? So
I think we'd already signed him at that point. So it was He was 18 playing for Worcester, and there's this picture of Bigger talking to him for like 10 minutes after the game. And that point hadn't been announced, but I think in reality we'd already signed him at that point.
But I think it just goes to show that he'd obviously been identified by not just coaches, but like a 10 who was at one point, was at the top of the game, as someone that, that's someone that you should be keeping an eye on, and everybody was right.
Yeah, 100%.
He can't go anywhere anyway, because he and Tommy Freeman are best friends, and they have to stay forever, and that's final.
I think the thing is that I think the reality is the culture seems to be bang on at Saints, right? That they've built this core group of players that have come through the academy. They see Northampton Saints as their club, and they're brought up in the environment. They've got good friends that it's not like they're the one that's come through and there's no one else. They've come through with a group of people that have come through with them, and it's very much like a local rugby club in that sense. Like they've come through, they've built their way up, they've got into the first team, and they're just going to play for the first team while they're needed. And you do see at Northampton players who they hang up their boots when, quite frankly, like because they're sort of their time's up at Saints, and they could quite frankly go and get paid in France, or they could go to another Prem club, or they go drop down the leagues or whatever it is, and they just go, no, that's it. I've done my time in rugby. I'm going to go get a job, And I think that's because of the culture that's within the club. It's very family oriented, very sort of built around them as a group of friends coming through the system, and that's not been around forever. You think back to the Wayne Smith era, etc. That just wasn't happening, and then obviously into the years after that, it didn't happen. It didn't happen until Jim built it and Chris Boyd made it flourish, sort of things. But it's fantastic, really.
But I feel like we talk a lot about the first team coaches, and I think you mentioned it last week. Like we've also got to give props to Mark Hopley, who's obviously doing something right as head of the academy, because it's been it's been so good for so long, and he's been at the helm or been involved in some capacity for such a long period of time at this point. Like, I think he's almost as, if not as important to where this club is now as Phil and Sam and the rest of the team, to be fair.
And the name I'd add to that as well is Kieran, who's I think he's the head of the community, because
Yeah.
you think you look at Todaro, he came through at Ipswich, and we've had a number of players come through that, Ipswich and whatever.
Yeah.
And whilst it's in the region, a lot of clubs have this region, and they don't treat it like that. They just look at the players that come through locally, whatever. Whereas they've built such a good network across the whole region of Northampton Saints, whatever, the player area, whatever it's called, that even somewhere as far as Ipswich is fueling the Northampton squad, and they're made to feel part of the club, and that all comes down to the investment and the work that's going on behind the scenes by the community, and also by the academy structure as well.
Yeah, I think it probably means more to Hoppers as well, because I think, I'm going back a long time now, I think he came through the academy, didn't he?
He did. He's
like he's been there, done that, won stuff with Saints, and now he's progressing and turning new lads into those heroes. So that's sort of, to me as well, that gives it a little bit of the cherry on the top, because he's come through the club, played for the club, now he's making the club more successful, and it's just nice to see that we are supporting that and not going out, no offence to clubs that do, paying millions of pounds to get a Kiwi or an Aussie in. It's all our lads are all ex-players that are up and coming, and hope we can keep hold of them. Sign that contract, Mr. Dowson. You're not going to Newcastle, please.
Yeah, my worry is that Dawson's good mates with Dave Waldle, isn't it? And if you're Red Bull, that might look like a dream ticket, but it looks like they're looking heavily at what's his name, Scotland coach,
Gregor Townsend.
Gregor. Yeah. As he looked like he's going to consult and then take over once his Scotland contract's up. So thankfully, that hopefully means that he's staying well clear of Dawson.
You mentioned Scotland though, but they are about to pinch one of ours. They are about to take Radders. So we'll be obviously. I believe he's doing the dual role for the rest of the season. So we do have him until the end of the season. But I guess it's something my mum said. But she was like, is Courtney Lawes coming up to the end of his career? Do you reckon he'll come back and do it?
It's very different to being Courtney Lawes to being amazing. I mean, Lee Radford was a superstar player, but in league, and he also then became a very successful head coach in rugby league. So when we signed him, I thought that it comes when he was up at Hull FC, even being as their head coach. I was up at uni there, so if I wasn't coming down to watch Saints games, I did go to the odd league game and watch them. And he was renowned for how good his teams defended. That was something that and so I thought it was a huge coup for us to get someone of Lee Radford's stature to come in and just be our defence coach. And obviously it is more than that. He's part of the coaching group and impacts in all sorts of ways. But I think you can't sort of diminish remotely the impact that he's had on Northampton Saints. Like how much credit must go to him for the final in 2014, winning that, and then also the run we went on in Europe. It's going to be a big hole to fill when he leaves, and I'm not going to worry about that yet.
But you also sort of can't begrudge him doing it either. Like it's an international position, isn't it? Like no way someone is. I mean, I say no way someone is turning that down. I do know that from what I could tell, England heavily wanted Vesty at one point, and he said he had more to do at Saints, so he stayed. But 9 times out of 10, an international contract comes your way, you're going to take it, completely understandably so. And hopefully he's done enough to leave like his mark and his imprint on the team, because like I said, that it was like night and day from pre and post his appointment in terms of defence. We went from like, I think the leakiest. It just so happened that we managed to score slightly more than we let in, and I think he reduced the tries. It was like by 30-something%, I think, from one season to the next. It was an immediate impact.
Yeah, no, like you said, you can't begrudge him taking that step up. I think all of them have ambitions to reach that level, and I wouldn't be surprised at one point in the future they get the band back together and those three are heading up England. But let's hope that's not for a while.
You're not going to be welcome back in Hull mixing those two up, by the way.
Yeah. No, of course. He played for Hull. He was a Hull KR
Yeah,
boy,
yeah.
and then but came for a Hull FC. But yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, he made his debut at like 16 or something. It's just nonsense, like craziness
Wow.
in as a prop forward, I think. So yeah, in rugby league is a different breed of person. But yeah, um, yeah. All right, okay. So putting that to one side, let's look ahead to well, I mean, it's the big one, isn't it? It's the only one
Yeah.
that matters. I think the first question is like, who the hell's going to play tight head? You know,
Green, isn't
I'm
he?
hoping
Yeah.
Big Trev's going to be fit.
I thought
Hopefully.
Green's fit, isn't he? He was travelling reserve.
Yeah, Green will be fit. I don't know how
Okay, that's good
serious
then.
Millie Mills was. Cody Allen looked serious. It took him a while to get off the pitch.
Is
Yeah,
Um,
Big Trev might be back there, mightn't he? Or is he out?
I'm hoping Big Trev because I think it was
hopefully
concussion.
it was concussion, so
Yes,
it's
it's
just how
7
quickly
days,
he
isn't
comes through the. Well, it's not just that. It's like you have to pass a certain. I think you
Yeah.
have to pass 3 or something. And I know that they'd only said about Sam Graham had failed his 3rd one, and so he had their protocols. But yeah, it's like the minimum 7 days. But sorry, I just had the Craig David song going through my head. Then it's like the minimum 7 days. But obviously, if they fail again, it just extends the. So you've got to imagine like Sam Graham, it might be a bit longer for him potentially, just because that was a pretty serious
he was knocked
knock.
out,
So
wasn't
it's just, yeah, it's just going through the protocols at this point, isn't it? But yeah, Cleopas's injury looked quite significant. Miller Mills he didn't look comfortable walking off. I mean, he could get off by himself, but yeah, he was struggling. So yeah, you got to hope that, yeah, like you said, that Green is fit or Trev is back
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
to
So
go. So
yeah, you're looking at hopefully Big Trev's back, and then you're probably looking at Luke Green on the bench.
yeah,
And the only other person to sort of put the SOS call up is a certain young Tonga Weir, who played for Bedford at the weekend. So you never know.
Yeah.
But you know that it's fingers crossed it's Big Trev, but
yeah,
it's a sort of a doubt, isn't it?
yeah. But you've
I
got to say
guess
that otherwise it's got to be Manny as a lock-in, like
yeah,
for yeah,
the loose head will remain the same, Manny and then Fischetti. I think
yeah,
Fischetti got better in that game. I
yeah,
think he's a good player as well. I think give him time, and the two of them will be a really good pair. The
yeah,
hookers are Walker went pretty well. Robbie Smith
yeah. Great to
looked
see him
good.
back.
It looked good to have him back exactly, and then they've got the Italian as well, Manfredi, in the
Yeah.
mix, I guess. But I can't imagine he's going to get dropped into a Tigers
God, no.
game. And again, you know, I suppose the rest of the forwards don't really change, other than you've got the question of at what point do you unleash the chosen one? You know, does he come straight in, or do they unleash him off the bench?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd probably
Yeah.
leave him. He's probably got to come off the bench, hasn't he? Because those lads have done
I
all
would
right.
say so, but
I think all those players coming back, it's that maybe 1 or 2 will start, but and then 1 or 2 will come off the bench, because I don't think they'll all be on the bench. Like I don't think we'll have a bench of Freeman, Smith, Mitchell, and Pollock. I reckon maybe like Freeman or Dingwall come straight back in. For who I don't know, because they're all playing so well.
I think he'll
but
probably play Mitchell and Fremo, and then because old Tony Bellew's played so well. It'd be a bit harsh just to bench him, wouldn't it, straight away? But there again,
yeah,
it's
but I
Finn
suppose the
Smith, isn't it, you know what I mean?
difficulty, yeah, the difficulty they've had is that Finn and Henry didn't play that much, so you could argue maybe they're more ready to go than the other. Like, yeah, who knows?
Yeah, but they didn't play that much, so maybe they're a bit short of
No,
rugby as
exactly,
well. So
exactly, yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
think maybe Freeman and if Dingwall's fit, I can see. I think they would be the only, and maybe Ram, they would be the only 3 players that would be consideration to start. The you know in coming into the side. I think Mitchell may be off the bench. I'd probably because the way we've sort of everything's gone. You know, McParland started amazingly well, and it's just if we start that well again, more happy days. And then you've always got Mitchell to come on and
yeah,
bring the
yeah,
experience and energy at the end of the game and feel his way back into it. So I wouldn't be surprised if they went McParland starting and Mitchell on the bench. Obviously, Mitchell is world class. It's not that's not a tactical decision. It's just about easing him back in. Um, but you know, Litchfield and Hutchinson were so good. Does Dingers come into the bench or? Freeman declares himself a
I
13
think
now. You know, where is he fitting in? Probably as a winger. You could
I
probably
still feel
drop him on the winger quite easily, couldn't you? You'd know what to do.
yeah. I know we had Chick as captain, and obviously he has history of captaining for Newcastle, but I still feel like in the absence of Ferbs, which is still, from what I understand, he's still a few weeks away at least. I still feel like if Dingers is fit, you need him in as the captain. It is maybe the only thing I'd say. And that's not to diminish anything. That's what I mean. If he's fit, I don't know.
If he's fit, you've got to
was.
play him. He's the glue. Remember, he's got to.
Yeah.
Dingers is the man.
That Dingle Hutchinson centre partnership is.
That's what I mean. That would be so much fun. Yeah. And then it's about the other injuries, isn't it? I don't really know how serious Rams was.
No.
Because if he still is injured, then you stick with Hendy at 15 and Tadaro, and then wingers also question marks as well.
That's why I think Freeman might just James played really well, Tadaro played really well, etc. But I think, if you're going to go down the Dingers Hutchinson midfield, which that's just tried and tested and been so good for so long, that even though Freeman's probably shorter for a bit of rugby, he probably plays on the wing with his eyes closed. He's that good. So you probably could be really comfortable just dropping him straight back onto the wing and him being able to fly with it. It's a bit harder for Finn Smith to drop in, currently parachute in and play 10. It's a bit harder for him. So I imagine you might see Finn and Mitchell on the bench and with Pollock maybe actually, and then have Freeman. I'd just chuck him straight back in.
I think we'll probably be in a situation, and again, it's nothing against Martin, but I think we'll probably be in a situation where we're probably going to have to use him because of injuries and other things. We're probably just going to have to. And like I said, it's Leicester, so people are going to want to see as many of those lines as possible in the derby. That's the
Yeah, and let's not forget the last result of the home derby. Right, there's something that we need to see better than that, because
there is revenge to be had.
There is revenge to be had, yeah. Because if it's that again, you can write the season off because we've already lost it. That's the only game that matters. So if we don't win it, or we have any performances like we did last year, then the season's off to a bit of a flat start, isn't it?
Yeah, that is the only game in the God knows how many years, 39 years I've been going Saints. I was contemplating leaving at half time because I do not like them, and they do not like them beating us at home. So I don't want that again, please. No.
No, we need the first 40 that we did against Gloucester. We need to do 80 minutes of that, and we need Leicester to do 80 minutes of their shocking first half against Quins. I know they came back to win, but
the wind was a big factor in that, though, wasn't it? Did you see some of it? Did you see it? Jesus, but the wind was strong.
The only thing I could think of when I was thinking about our extra result and our Gloucester, as I was cool. At least we didn't do a Quins. At least we didn't chuck away a 90-point lead and get no points out of the game, because they didn't get anything. They didn't get 4 tries. They didn't get with it. They got nothing. And they gave Leicester the full 5. I was like, what? At least we got 3 points and then 5. It's not absolutely horrendous. We didn't do what they did. They just, I don't know what happened in that second half. But yeah. So we need them to have 80 minutes of their really bad first half, and us to have 80 minutes of our really good first half. And it should be fine.
Yeah, exactly. It's that easy. I mean, you look at Tigers, and they've probably got a few players come. I mean, Ollie Chesham started for them last week. I thought he was a line, but whatever. But they've got a lot of good players in that side, and other than 10, where James Conner probably won't be back because he played for the Wallabies last weekend. I doubt they'll drop him straight in. And Orlando Bailey got injured in the warm up, so they're a bit short with Billy Searle. But you look around and a lot of pace out wide. Radwan's a menace. You've got to keep on top of him. But if you can stop them getting go forward ball by shutting down Catter and Cracknell, it's sort of a bit of, what else are they going to bring? If you win the territory battle, make sure they don't get in your 22, shut down Catter and Cracknell, then you should go well.
Please don't tempt fate.
No, well, you've got to look at them and look at what they offer and where the dangers. And they've obviously got a dangerous back three, but they need the ball, and they don't always get it with Leicester. They've got a heavy, solid forward pack, but that's largely driven around go forward ball from Cracknell and Catter. So if we can, and it's one of those ones where someone like Lichfield is obviously our biggest centre. Is he? Do you almost? I know necessary defensive isn't necessarily his forefront, and maybe Dingers is a bit more technically profound there. But if you can shut Kata down and just stop him on source, then where do they go? It's sort of box kicking, which let them kick the ball to Henry because I mean I just want to see what happens when he catches the ball.
Because yeah, that's okay though because if Hutchinson's going to keep tackling and being a menace at the breakdown like he did, we'll be fine. Everything will be fine. Like you could do another one of those, but the main thing really, our downfall, and you'd mentioned it before, as sort of, I mean, there were many downfalls from the game against the home game against Tigers this year, but Tommy Raffel just pitched everything, literally everything that he could have. And I remember you said before, you said if he's on his game and he takes the ball, I don't think we ever thought that loss was gonna happen, but that it would be a tough afternoon. So we gotta compete.
Seem to be flavour of the month with Parling. Like he's played off the bench, I think, a couple of times. They've got the young lad. Was it Elena or Luna? Mika Leona. He looks an athlete and a phenomenal line-out jumper and top player, but they don't seem to have that breakdown threat which is the same as when they've got Tommy Raffel playing.
Yeah, it's insane, isn't it? Same with Wales. Wales weren't playing him either. I was like, I don't like either side. And he would be the first name on my team sheet because that man is insane at the breakdown. He gets the ball every time. There's not many players like that. It's fair play to him. I just hope we can nullify if he plays, like you said.
It's also where we said it before. It's also where someone like Pollock does come in because I mean he's not the same as Rafael, like as an all-round player, but he will also chuck it in and get turnovers and things, and that is a big part of the game. I think that's not the difficulty because like Pearson does do it, some of the others do it, but it's like something that you get with like Van der Mescht, like you said before. He's not getting down and getting himself over the ball like that. He's not. That's not his role.
It's all right. We've got Roy Hutchinson doing it.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I mean. It's like all they need to. I'm hoping all they did today was just show all of Rory's performance, be like, this is your blueprint for like you need to be at this level. Like you don't necessarily have to do the same things, but you've got to do what you do at that level. Because that was like it makes you realise like the talent that they have for the Scottish team that he can't get in.
Yeah, and it just shows you like I said, it's what they bring to the game. I mean the turnover things has been something in his game, but it was on steroids v Gloucester. It's unreal. He's done it. He's got plenty of turnovers over the years, but like to get 4 in a game is unreal. And it's just because he's so quick at getting on, making that decision to get on the ball. But the skill that he brings, like I said, is that decision making so close to the line.
Yeah.
But if you're at international level and you're probably about more involved in winning the collisions and the contact, that's why Tuipulotu now gets the call at 12, because when he hits up at 12, he makes good decisions, he's a good reader of the game, good distributor, but when he hits up with a lot more power, whereas Hutchinson is a more of a silky smooth player he carries well, but he doesn't make those sort of punches. But it's
timing, isn't it? Like Scotland centres like Tuipulotu and Hugh Jones, and they're world class. Like it's
they're
just
lions.
and Lions that actively played in tests as well. So like it's not like they were Lions that just made the team. There was like they were a key part of it, and so it's you feel like you have to sort of be clear. Like it's literally nothing. I don't think it's anything to do with Rory. It's just the other two people that are kind of in those positions are just like freaks. They're so good. But I mean, you try to think of it as like a positive. That means we get to keep him around and we get to see what he does week in, week out. Because, his form towards the end of last season, the beginning of this season is red hot.
Yeah, no, exactly. I like I said, if he can maintain that level for the rest of the season, I will be eating my words when I described him as the best 23 in the world. But he won't get dropped at that rate. Anyway, so let's get on to predictions. So last week, Sai didn't get the try scorer, whereas me and Jess got the try scorer in Hendy and Pearson. However, you were within the 3 to get the margin. You had Saints +5, Saints with 5, and and they were with 2, so you get the
I've got a point.
So you get a point on the board. Your first point on the having not barely scored one last year. You got first point on the board this year.
I keep picking scores assuming we're going to do an 80-minute performance.
Yeah,
and then we don't. I keep going big, and again I trick myself into thinking like, yeah, we're going to win big.
I had a bit too many more points in the game is the issue. But anyway, so looking ahead this week, I'll go first this week because I've gone the middle for that first 2. I'm going to go 28-21, and I'm going to stick with Hendy to score. Side, you're going next.
24.
Oh no, sorry, it should be Jess next.
Yeah,
should be Jess
next.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna want revenge, so I'm gonna make the same mistake and go big again, and then they're gonna disappoint me again. I mean, as long as they win, I don't really care. But let's go. 35-21 scorer. I'm gonna go for Archie.
Archie, yeah. Could definitely happen. I mean, it's a hard one on the team, isn't it? Like, because with Mitchell and everything, it's difficult to know.
Yeah, I have no idea what they're going to do. That's the reality.
I think we said, I mean, I guess what we did before was if they weren't in the squad, we would let you change. I reckon we should probably say if they don't start, you get to change.
Yeah,
I think we'll consistently do that. So yeah, we'll have Archie, but you may get the opportunity to change.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. 24-19, and I'll go Chick.
Chick, yeah. Cool.
I was going to say the points. Did we all get a point because you got try scorers?
No, so the score was you got 3 points, Jess got 2, and I got 2 because we both got the win and we both got 1 for the try scorer. But you won the round, so you get a point on the board.
Oh wow! Okay. So I actually won one. That's amazing. I was just clarifying.
You won the round, yeah. You won the round. So you're one up 1.
Right, I'll take that. Yeah. We'll call it end of the season now.
It's a weekly contest. Yeah. So we'll keep track of who wins each week. Brilliant. Okay. I mean, it's Derby week. We're all on tenterhooks, but it's a big week. If like I said, we probably won't be back next week if it turns out like the first 2 games because I will not be able to survive that. But it should be a very exciting game as it always is for the East Midlands Derby. So come on, you Saints. So I've been Charles, Jess has been Jess, Simon's been Simon. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.